Okay, so there are some of that these are some of the PPTs which describes you much more on that area. What all the IAM terminologies are be there. Terminologies basically means what's your understanding on that side. What all the terms we can use, we can define in our identity and access management area. Okay, so what exactly the identity? According to you, what exactly the identity? Basically, the identity refers to the unique representation of an any kind of individual or any kind of system or any entity in your IT environment. We call it as a identity. Individual means any kind of resources, okay, like human being or any kind of system. System means anything, machine, devices, any kind of thing, or else any kind of entity which belongs to your IT environment. That is, we call it the identity. Basically it is used to verify your manage and accesses. Like it is basically identity is going to be used on what purpose? Either it going to be verified, or either there should be some kind of access the identities are having. Correct. Our identities are playing a role in terms of users. Either they are users, either they are group of users, we call it as a groups. Either they are having some roles like admin role, cybersecurity role, any read only role, okay, super admin role. Okay, so these are also calls as a identity. And we are having the service accounts. Service accounts are basically those accounts are not exactly as the identity. Okay, those accounts which are majorly works on the services side, like admin account, admin privileges account, okay, like your security admin account, okay, and any kind of service account who can work a limited kind of accessibility on that area. Okay, so we call it as a service account. So service account also we call it as a identity. Okay, like an example which is to be mentioned over there in this picture, a company employee John Doe logs in the company's HR portal using his employee ID. Okay, we are having an employee, like we are having a user which is having a name John Doe, correct? And he is logging in the company's portal with his email ID or the employee ID. So the employee ID, which is called to be the again the attribute which is belongs to John Doe. Okay, the employee ID and the John Doe, the name, it is totally combined with the identity part. So identity is any kind of employee which is having certain kind of attributes with it, like name, like his employee ID, his email address. Okay, so that's why we club it into the identity of this particularly person. Okay, as you join any kind of organization, that is also comes to you. Okay, the employee ID. Okay, that is become your identity for your IT environment area. Got it? Second terminology is authentication. Okay, authentication basically defines the process of verifying the identity of the user or system before granting access. Before granting access any kind of activity, to verify that person is this to be that person or not. Okay, so we call it as a authentication. Like the same guy John enter his username and password to access his email address. So whether he is trying to entering his username and password, so what exactly he trying to do? He is authenticating himself for his email address. So his email address belongs to him or not. How could we get to know? We get to know either this username and password is correct. Okay, so that's why we call it as a authentication. Okay, anything you are entering in an organization with your employee ID, you access part is to be there. Now an email ID given to you. Okay, now how could you check this email ID for this particularly system is belongs to you or not? So you are going to authenticate. Okay, you are going to authenticate yourself that I am the correct person because this system is belongs to me. I can authenticate myself with my username and password. Okay, so this process we call it is a authentication, the process of verifying the identity of the user or system before granting access, correct? Now the second terminology comes at the third, that is authorization. Authentication we already know, like a person who is entering his username and password and verifying himself for his email address or getting access on his email ID. So that is, inbox. So that's becoming a authentication. Now authorization. So authorization basically defines the process of determining what action or resources a user is allowed. Okay. The process of determining what action or resources a user is allowed. Action means what kind of actions, like either the person having the read only access, either the person is only have the editable or viewing access, sharing access, whatever the access he is having. Okay, so if a John Doe can view his email but cannot access the company financial data, okay, that is comes under the authorization. So in that authorization is stating that John is authorized to view his email address. He is not able to access the company financial data. So on that term we call it as a authorization. Correct? There are some kind of restrictions, some kind of privileges is given to you or an entity that comes under the authorization sector. Okay, so three terminologies are, I think it is well occupied with you. You are quite understandable on that area. Authentication, authorization, and one other thing is about identity. Now, fourth thing, access control. What exactly means this access control? Here we are talking about that the access. Like John can view his email but cannot access the company financial data. Okay, so over here again the action part is comes in this picture, like to action either this person is allowed or not allowed, either his authentication it is to be there or not. Okay, authorization always comes after authentication, always authentication first, then after authorization comes in this picture, keep in mind. Okay, now access control. Access control, what access control means? Access control basically means a security technique that determines and enforce permission to the users or the system. Like a bank manager has access to approve loans, but a teller does not. Got it? So what kind of access we are supposed to grant to any kind of person, that comes under in the picture of access control, a security technique. Basically, it is a term. The access control comes in the picture, a security area, a parameter we are defining under the security. Okay, like in your if you go to the bank, so the manager is only able to approve your loans, correct? But teller does not. Like you are asking him to approve my loan, but you can't do a loan approval by yourself. Okay, there should be some access part, access control part comes in this picture. Okay, so there should be in the organization also some, if you are requesting for leave, if you are requesting for sick leave, if you are requesting for some kind of access part, some learning portal or something, it is to be there. There should be some other person who is having some kind of privilege with him, some kind of access control with him. So only he can do or he can provide all this activity for you. Okay, or did the activity for you. Okay, so that is comes under the access control area. Okay, so far I think all is fine. Now there is a term called least privilege. Okay, this terminology you can observe in couple of many identity and access management domains, whether you are learning on that the Okta or either any kind of protocol. Oh, sorry, not protocol, like any kind of domains you are learning or any kind of tools you are supposed to learn. Okay, so on that side you can find or you can see in this least privileges. Okay, what exactly the least privileges means it is. Okay, so the least privileges means a security principle where user receive the minimum access required. A person who can receive the minimum access required to perform their job. Okay, like an example, a junior developer has only read access to production servers, not write access. Okay, a specific privilege, a specific minimum access going to be granted by someone to any kind of user according his job profile. Okay, like if you are an analyst, if you are joining an organization, if you are an analyst, so you are not able to perform certain kind of activity which is to be taken care by your senior analyst or your team leader or your manager. Okay, so there should be some privileges. Okay, like you are asking for any kind of documentation in the SharePoint, any kind of accessibility on that area, but you are restrict with your role part. Okay, only manager can view or manager can align, manager can do certain kind of activity for their subordinates. Okay, so on that area some privileges are going to be granted. Okay, so that's why these least privileges things are comes under three kind of category, like minimum access, like job requirement access, like security principal access. Okay, in the minimal access, what is to be there, like user receive only necessary permissions. Necessary means I need a certain kind of access for certain kind of duration. Okay, like I am working, I am an analyst, I'm working on a project, but if in case like the things on an urgent side, I am not joining or I am not taking this project for today. Okay, but this is a very crucial task to deploy or to deliver to our client. So on that parameter, who can take care of my role? Okay, some other analyst, correct? But that is not his job. But according to the manager, we are granting him certain kind of duration, certain kind of privilege for today itself. Okay, so I can grant him a certain kind of access privilege for his work or for his platform for 6 hour, for 2 hours, for 3 hours only. Okay, so in that time frame he can do his task, whatever the pending task it is to be there, and deliver to the client. Okay, so this kind of privilege which is I am granting to some other analyst, so that is comes under minimal access part. This is comes under privilege area, these privilege access area. Okay, which is to be given by someone for certain duration of time. Like over here we are uh, taking this session. Okay, but if in case like who is the subordinate person who is not be the technical guy who opened this session, he is not sure about that part, he is jumping on some other call, he is not going to taken care for all of our training for 1 hour. So he is supposed to give me that permission for at least for 1 hour, so I can run the show, so I can run this session accordingly. Okay, so she is giving me the privilege, she is giving me the organization host part. Okay, so I can do and perform this activity at least for 1 hour or 1.5 hour, whatever the time frame of this session it is to be. Okay, so in that term we call it is a privilege, least privilege area. Okay, similarly in the job requirement, in the job requirement, access based on roles responsibility. Roles responsibility means a manager having a certain kind of role. Okay, senior manager having the certain kind of roles and responsibility, similarly director having certain kind of roles and responsibility. Okay, so on that roles and responsibility, we in an organization we are granting certain kind of access, correct? Like there is a SharePoint of proposal, there is a SharePoint for pitching vendor, there is a SharePoint access for client and proposal access. So we can't give those accesses to our analyst level guy. Okay, so on that time there are should be a privileged kind of activity terms comes in this picture, similar to our security principle, like reduces potential damage from the breaches. Okay, so on that side we are supposed to reduce all the potential damages from that the breaches. In our organization there are multiple time these kind of things has to becomes in picture. Okay, if there is a security breach, if there is some person has to becomes in this picture, a unknown guy, the external guy come in that the documentation area. So these kind of activity we can define under least privilege under the security principle area. Okay, so there should be some security principal account who can take care, only those are having those access, not the rest of the colleagues, rest of the team member, who can make sure that we are the only person for the certain area or certain you can say the folders access or any kind of applications, like you can say. Okay, so that is comes under the least privilege area. Okay, so least privilege, if anyone can ask you on that area what exactly that least privilege it is to be there, so you can tell them in a way like a minimum access is going to be granted or required for certain duration of time, that will comes in the least privilege. Okay, I think hope so everything is fine till so far, correct? Any concern so far? Now the fifth and sixth terminology is separation of duties. We call it as a SOD. In IM, we call it as a SOD. SOD means separation of duties. As it name, it is to be like separation of duties. We are bound with certain kind of duties, but we can figure it out which person going to be do what kind of activity. Okay, like SOD means a control mechanism to prevent conflict of interest by dividing tasks among different individuals. Okay, like in finance systems, like in your cloud admin, like your code deployment and the security operation. Okay, how it is going to be work? There should be one employee create invoice while other approve them and preventing fraud. Okay, SOD over here in a simple term, it is to be there. There are not supposed to be the two guy are working on the similar kind of task. Okay, if you see inside the bank, okay, if one person is going to be approving your or creating your invoices, okay, and the same guy is not be supposed to be there who are clearing your invoices. Okay, there should be some other person who is going to clear your invoices. Okay, one person is supposed to be creating, and other person is going to be clearing your invoices. Okay, if the same guy is doing the similar kind of activity, so it means that he is doing two activity taken care by one person, so there should be some conflict of interest came in the picture. Okay, for doing this kind of activity, to reducing these kind of activity, that's why I am telling that make a separation of duties. Okay, SOD policies, or you can say the rules we are supposed to create. Okay, to make sure each and every person having certain kind of roles within it, certain kind of accessibility in it, and he can do this kind of activity. Like in your case, like you are working for an organization. Okay, so you are requesting for leave, correct? And leave should be approved by your manager. But if in that case you are requesting your leave and you are approving your leave by yourself, so it's becoming a conflict of interest. There should be some violation has been occurred. There should be some risk inside that your inside your organization. Okay, that's why we keep separate each and every segment according to his accessibility, according to his control mechanism area. That's why we are taking care of SOD over here to make sure any kind of violation is not going to be occur, any kind of IM activities. IM activities means any kind of, like either in not in the onboardation area, in the hiring side, not always in that the project assignment area, not always in that the rules creation side, policy creation side, group management side, life cycle management side. So we can separate those duties according to the to mitigate all of the risk and challenges. Okay, so this is the one of the biggest things comes in this the IM side. Okay, so all of the things which I'm demonstrating to you over here in the PPT in the terminology side, that is all comes under the IM radar, or you can say the IM parameter. All of the things you can see under any of that the product of the IM, which I'm going to demonstrate you in an Okta side. Okay, now role-based access control. Role-based access control is already been over here. Like we know access control, we know roles. Now there is a complete picture. We call it as a RBAC. We call it as a RBAC. RBAC is a term which is going to be used. One of the terminology is going to be used in our IM area. Okay, as it name it is to be very much defined. It is to be their role base according to the role which access we are going to control. Okay, like we are having the user role, we are having the access assignment, we are having the simplified management area. Okay, so on that side, what exactly the role based access control work? Like a security model where access is assigned based on predefined job roles. Access is assigned. Access is assigned. Okay, I am precising this term to you. Access is assigned based on predefined job roles. Predefined job roles. Okay, like an example, a finance team member gets access to accounting software automatically. Okay, are you getting my point? What I'm saying? A finance team member gets access to accounting software automatically. Like your role is already been defined. Okay, you belong to finance team. Okay, you are the member of finance teams. So if you are belongs to finance team, so there should be some predefined access is given to you automatically. Like you are not supposed to work on HR based application, you are not supposed to work on marketing application, You are not supposed to work on any kind of software products because you are tie up with the finance team. So there should be some forte, there should be some skill set which is comes to you. So it means you are finance part. So automatically whatever the software it is assigning for finance team members, it is automatically assigns to you once you join this finance team. That's why we call it as a role based access control. Like in an organization, if I am joining as a software developer, okay, so those application which is automatically granting for me, okay, which is grants to me or which I am having the access all those application, these are all the software based application, correct? Because I have the skill set of software, I'm a software developer, software engineer, okay. So what the access I need to required automatically, like I need the VDI, correct? I need some console. I need the shell scripting area. I need certain kind of application where I can run and check. Okay. So I need the database access. Okay. So these all the softwares belongs to whom? A software guy, a IT guy. Correct. It is not belongs to you, the HR person. It is not belongs to the finance team. Okay. So this is how this role-based access controls comes in this picture in your IM side. Okay, so whether any kind of person we are hiring from outside to our organization with some skill set, so according to his skill set, we are making or creating his complete infrastructure in that the organization. Inside the organization, we are defining or setting or putting him a certain kind of projects according to his credibility or skill set. Then automatically all those access granted to him. Okay, so this is the picture we call it is a role based access control. Okay, similarly some permission link for the roles, it is automatically defined to him. Okay, it is easier to manage access for large organization. Within an organization we can't see, okay, I have 100 users. Okay, we can take an example, like 10 users we can manage. Most probably we can manage 100 of the users in an organization. Okay, but how could you manage thousands of users in an organization? Multiple kind of users are in the same day, they are onboarding, means they are hiring, and the same day multiple kind of users offboarding or either leaving the organization. So how could you manage? Okay, so there should be some solution, there should be some product who can tie up, there should become infrastructure, there should be some at least there should be some ecosystem, okay, which IAM gives to you. Okay, in every organization IAM is the bigger infrastructure pillar. Okay, on that parameter rest of the activities are playing a role. Okay, so this is called, we call it a role based access control. Now there is one more term, we call it the attribute based access control. There should be some role. What's your role over here? You are a finance team member, correct? This is your role. You are accounting person. So that's why according to your role this software access grant to you, correct? Similarly over here, attribute based access control basically means access control based on attributes such as department, location, device type. Okay, so like an example, like HR department can edit salary details but other can't. Okay, attribute based access control means in the starting time I told you we are talking about the identity, correct? According to the identity having some attributes, some character sketch, correct? Like his name, date of birth, location, department, designation, skill set, manager ID, whatever the things. Okay, where he based out, correct? So according to his attribute, we are giving him some access or he is having some access. Okay, if I am taking a person who belongs to HR, okay, HR is the department, the person's department is HR. So according to his department he can only edit the salary details, not other guys who is not belong to that the particularly department. Okay, it's like over here, like there are some designations also. If you go to any kind of hospital, okay, you have seen some doctors, okay, a specific doctors which belongs to like a neurologist, There should be some physiotherapist, orthopedics doctor, okay, MBBS doctors, physicians are be there, okay. Under them, they are having some subordinates like compounder, we can say, or a helper, or you can say the assistants of the doctor, it is to be there. So according to their role, they can do certain kind of activities, okay. Like his assistant or doctor assistants can't do or prescribe the complete medication for the patients, correct. They are not supposed to prescribe what kind of prescription I need to write it down for my patient. That authority goes to only to the doctor, because doctor having some designation, that person having a designation called doctor. Only he is the right person who can prescribe the medication to the patients, not their compounders or their assistants, correct. So how we can define that thing? We are defining that person on the basis of his attribute, okay. His designation is MBBS doctor or MD, correct. So over here, similarly in our organization, according to our department, if I am saying that, like, I need some guy from department, okay. Department means HR department, IT department, admin department. I need certain kind of I need an employee who belongs only to that the IT department, okay. I want certain kind of activity I can perform with him, okay. I am giving a task to him, okay. Like he can do that kind of activity only, okay. So that through which I can distribute, I can differentiate all of my resources under one area, okay. So it's easy for me also in an organization to differentiate among all of the users. So eventually I can grant access, I can revoke access on the basis of their department location, their device type, or any kind of things, okay. Like in a case, in an organization we are having thousands of employees, okay. Some guys are having Android devices, some guys are having iPhone devices, okay. So I can easily figure it out, okay, how many guys are having Android devices, how many resources are having Android devices. If I put one condition over there, I need only those resources they are having device equals to iOS. So I can found the number easily, correct? Without checking individually to them. So this is how the beauty of that the ABAC is going to work in our IAM side. Okay. These all are comes under the security parameter basically. Okay. Like role based, because they are in and out, they are defining or they are making a security, okay. They are making a security boundaries, okay, in an organization, that no other person can work their task, there no other person can breach their activity, okay. So it's easy for us to make a decision on that parameter, okay. Now there is third term, policy based access control, okay. First term is our RBAC, second term is ABAC, or third is PBAC. PBAC basically means policy based access control. On the basis of policy, we are granting some access. Like access permissions are granted based on predefined policies. Okay, predefined policies are already been predefined. Okay, we are giving some permission or access on the basis of predefined. Like a contractor can access file only from 9 to 5 p.m. So there should be some policy already been there. Okay, written over there. You can access file between 9 to 5 p.m. So who can access file between 9 to 5 p.m.? Only contractor. Okay. So that is some kind of policies already been there, and it is assigning to contractor guy. Okay. Similarly, for ourselves, for a full-time employee, we are having a predefined policy. Predefined policy means they can access the file 24 by 7, okay, either 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, so we are defining the full-time guys having these kind of accessibility on that the policy side. Okay, like in your organization, one person is hired like a full-time employer, second person is hired as a third party or contractor. So the two of the guy who is contractor and third party hired person, they are having less privileges according to your, as comparing to our full-time employee, because full-time employee having different kind of policies comes with him. Okay, and the rest of the guys are having certain restriction policies comes with them. They are not able to access the complete, they are not there, or they are not allowed to go ahead with the complete company policies. Okay, they are having less you can see the less holidays they are having, and they are having you can say less privilege to take some leaves. Okay, they are having less privilege, or some policies are not good for them for their payroll cycle. Okay, so these kind of things it is to be there. So that's why the policy based access control came in this picture. Okay, so whatever the scenario which I'm telling to you, that is totally defining on that the organization perspective. Okay, so this is how every organization is in and out set it inside in the IM infrastructure area. Okay, however, one more thing it is to be a centralized management. If policy can be updated centrally, it will affect to the all the systems. Okay, if I'm planning for one of the policies applicable, okay, then it will affect all the system. Like if we are in, if I am talking about in a larger side in India, okay, so there should be some new policies as comes in this picture. Okay, so any policy which is come to be in this picture, which is to be granted or approved by our two of that the houses, Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Okay, then all of the policies is going to be came across in the Indian citizen. They are applied on the Indian citizens eventually, because that is to be centralized area. They are approved from the centralized area. Then it is going to be applicable. So if you see, a country policy is different and the state policies are different. Okay, even some district policies are even different. Under the district, some block policies are already even different. Okay, because they are not applicable, or they are applicable on the certain kind of areas or the location or anything. Okay, through that way the accessibility of these policies are limited. If you see, like in a state in India, you can say the Delhi policies are different from your Maharashtra policies. Okay, and they are applicable only for the Delhi users, or you can say the Delhi candidates only. Okay, similarly in the organization, if I am talking about some of the policy which are be totally bound with HR guys. Okay, they are not applicable on that the accounting guys. Okay, so this is how we can differentiate or make a certain kind of things, and both of the policies they can follow if it is to policy is the company policy. If the company policy it is to be there, any kind of sexual harassment, any kind of toleration it is to be there, there should be a compliance policy which is to be taken care by the organization for their all the employees. Okay, there should be some zero trust policy it is to be there. Okay, zero tolerance policy, sorry. Okay, so on that time what will be, it is going to be applicable to all of the departments in that organization. This is how this things it is going to be there in our IM side. Okay, now one more thing is a DAC. DAC is defining as a discriminatory access control, like a model where the data owner decide who can access their resources. If I am having some access, if I am having some resources, now it's my turn to whom I am going to provide these things. Okay, who is the right person who can work on that area? So that we call it as a DAC. For example, a project manager share a document and decide who can edit it. Okay, he is not able to do give that permission to all of his resources who can edit it. If all of the person is going to edit that part, so lot of the things comes in this picture, some ambiguities comes in this picture. Okay, so that is how we call it a DAC over here. It will give some, it will gives us a flexibility. It will allow user to control access to their own resources. Okay, so that we call it is a DAC. Okay, we can see in the organization also, or in the project side also, and we can implement these kind of activity in with our policy side, rule side, we can create this kind of activity. Okay, then we having a MAC. DAC is for a data owner decide who can access their resources, who can access their resources. Okay, now in MAC, mandatory access control it is to be there. A strict access control model where access permissions are predefined by the administrator or security policy. Got my point? A strict access control model where access permissions and predefined by the administrator only. Like an example, a classified government document is only accessible to employee with top secret clearance. Okay, so it's a mandatory access control. Okay, there should be some administrator in our organization. Okay, so they are having a certain kind of accessibility, so they can do a certain kind of task. Only the administrator, not the rest of the users in an organization. Like in an Okta, in any kind of tool we are going to learn, if we are having the super admin privileges, okay, so we can define or we can work n number of activities. Okay, the rest of the users, rest of the guys who are having the read only access, they are not supposed to do certain kind of activity on that side. Because why? Because we are the super administration. So any kind of implementation part, any kind of clearance part, any kind of configuration part, any kind of development part, that is heads to us, that is belongs to us only. Anything it is came across on the risk side, challenge side, issue side, breach side, so that responsibility comes to us only because we are the super administrator. Okay, so any kind of leakage, any kind of breaches is going to be happen by done by any kind of user. So client will ask to only that person who is the super administrator. Okay, how it is going to be happen? Are you given some your secrets, your credential to someone else, or either at the limited set of duration of time are you provided some of the super administration privilege to your subordinate or the your team members. So if you provided that thing, so why he did this kind of activity? Because the complete IAM solution is right now hang up, or you can say the destroy, or it is behaving like a very crucial activities going on in this IAM infrastructure. So you are the responsible on that time. Okay, the super administration. So that's why the mandatory access control comes in this picture. Okay, so this is how that again it comes under the security boundary area. We are not supposed to give super administrator privilege to all of our subordinate, to all of the team members who are working on the project. Only one or two guys are working on that area. Okay, who are those responsible on that side. Okay, so that's why the MAC is to be there. Now there is one more term, we call it a just in time. Just in time access means what? There is a temporarily privileged access granted only when it is going to be needed. As I told you earlier, like one of the person who is on leave, so who can do his task? Because this project is going to be deployed by today. Today is a go live day. Okay, so who can do this kind of activity? So on that time, the privilege access is going to be granted to one of the person who is supposed to be do this kind of activity. So we call it is a term called just in time. Just in time means in that time who is the right person who can perform this kind of activity. Okay, like a security engineer get elevate admin privileges for 30 minutes only to troubleshoot a server issue. A guy who is doing this activity on the server side, he is not be there, but there is a person who knows that activity, who can work on that side of activity. So I can give him a 30 days. Okay, not the 30 days, I can give him 30 minutes to do this kind of activity. So I elevate his privilege. I elevate his privilege from a read-only access to the super administrator for only 30 minutes to work on this kind of activity. After 30 minutes, his account is totally revoked. His permission is completely revoked after the 30 minutes of kind of activity. Either he is supposed to do that activity or either not. Okay. So after 30 minutes, he is not able to access furthermore to do this activity. So that's why we call it a just-in-time access. Okay, why it is very much necessary? Because it is enhance the security. Okay, it reduce the risk of prolonged exposure of your privilege accounts. Like in over here in the banking side also, whether you are open any kind of banking account or any kind of transaction you are doing enough, So bank also gives you only 10 minutes. Okay, within the 10 minutes, and he also gives you a security password for that time. Okay, whether you entered your profile password, provide again, you are providing the security OTP message, OTP code over there, then you are able to access or open that particularly application within the 10 duration of time. Or either you are in the ATM, you are taking out your money, there should be a window is clicking over there for 2 minutes, for 3 minutes only. Okay, after 3 minutes, whatever the transaction it is to be there, it is going to be stuck or over on that time. Okay, so that is the thing which is also the banking side and other organization also giving to you. Okay, within that duration you can work on that application on this page till the time it is open for you. After that is completely lost. Okay, so that's why we call it is a just in time. Just in time you can see in your daily basis life also, rest of the activity, like if some of the guy is not having certain kind of activity, so on that time you are aligning some person to work for a certain duration time. Correct. So this is the one of the terminology which is going to be used much more in the IAM side. Okay, I hope so far it is working fine to all of you. Correct. Now there is a one more term, we call it as a multi-factor authentication. Okay, so now there is one more terminology, we call it as a multi-factor authentication. What exactly the multi-factor authentication? Why we call it as a multi-factor? We know the authentication, correct? Okay, what exactly the authentication means? Whether a person who is verifying himself by his credential to access his mail, so he's authenticating himself to accessing certain kind of email accounts for his inboxes. Correct? That is the authentication to verifying the anything. Okay. What is multi-factor now? Multi-factor means double layer, means second layer of authenticating the person or verifying the person, verifying himself or any kind of activity is performing. Okay, so something you know, which means you know your password, you know your PIN in mobile, correct? Something you have, like you are having your phone or either you are having a security token, correct? Something you are, either you are defining or verifying yourself by your biometric expression, either with any kind of OTP message, either with the voice call message, either with any kind of device you plug in. Okay, so this is the second layer of boundary which is to be came across on the security side in the IAM. That's why we call it as a multi-factor. Okay, like a security mechanism requires multiple verification methods like 2, 3, 4. So as organization set up for you, so how many it is going to set up for you, that is comes in the multi-factor side. Like an example, John logs his password and approves a login request on his phone. Correct? As you are very much aware of that part, like in a daily side you are purchasing from your mobile phone your grocery items, your Amazon side, your Zomato, Swiggy, any kind of activity you are doing in the e-commerce website. So whether you are placing some order, okay, in your cart. Okay, at the time of placing, at the time of the banking side, okay, in the banking side, whether you are putting your credit card credentials or any kind of GP account, anything, it will pop up in your phone. OTP message comes to your phone. What exactly it is? You are already authenticated by this application. You are already authenticated by Amazon, any kind of application. Why this message comes to you? Because they are verifying you, they are cross checking you, they are double checking you, they are secondary checking with you, you are that right person or not. Okay, if you are the right person, so this device, this OTP comes to your device number or the mobile number which you registered at the time of creating this account. Okay, that's why they are verifying this you. Okay, that's why you get an OTP on your mobile registered phone which you registered at the time of beginning. Okay, so that message you need to pass it on. then they can understand that part you are the right person who is accessing that application. If you have seen multiple times in your banking side in the transaction area, okay, now it is comes in the multiple ways, multiple applications are using this thing. Okay, so how it is, why it is beneficial, it is very much beneficial on the security side. Okay, the hackers are not able to do this kind of activity because they don't know what exactly your registered mobile number it is to be there, because the mobile belongs to that person only. Okay, even they know your password, they can't crack your account. Okay, they can't go inside your account. Okay, that's why this MF8 is to be there. Correct. We are having multiple accessibility, we are having multiple kind of things, we can do this or perform this kind of activity. Okay, even in the system, in the laptop systems, there should be your, whether you are entering your credential and after that thing they want some biometric validations, you are the right person or not, like facial expression. Okay, retina based application accent in your mobiles also. So this is how in the organization also these kind of activities is to be there. Why it is to be, how we can see the multi-factor authentication working. Like if you are entering in an organization, the guard checks your ID card. That is, he knows he knows this card belongs to that as an organization. But eventually he get to know from the ID card there is a picture for yourself. Okay, so he can validate you are the right person who is showing me this card or not. Okay, this is the first validation, first verification. Okay, this is taken care by the organization. Now second is that whether you are entering your ODC, okay, any room, your lab access. Okay, so you are accessing your access card over there, you are putting the access card on the door. Okay, again you are that going to be checked by the organization, you are the right person for this ODC or not, for this room or not, for this lab or not. Okay, because this access card belongs to the right person. Okay, then you are entering in that ODC, you are opening any kind of system, then system asks you that the to enter your credentials. Correct, you belong to that project or not. Okay, so these are the cross checks, these are the security area which is to be measured or deployed by the organization for the employees. Similarly for the employees, if you wanted to access certain kind of application, so application put multi-factor authentication over there. Okay, after they know this, they know that this application belongs to you. After knowing this part also, they are telling to you verify yourself second time also. That's why this multi-factor authentication is very much useful and helpful and implemented in the IM side. Okay, now there is a term called SSO. SSO, I already told you yesterday also. Single sign-on. Single sign-on basically means a mechanism where we are allowing user to authenticate one and access multiple application without re-entering your credentials. Without re-entering your credentials. Okay, like you are working on one of the project and the project requires 4 or 5 applications. Okay, that going to be very much helpful for you to work on those projects. So what exactly you need to do, you are going to one application, create your account, register yourself. Then in the second application you open that application, create your account, register yourself. In the third application you are doing the same activity till the fifth application. Correct. After doing this activity, you are entering your email address and the password. Might be you are entering the same password or might be not, you are entering some different password in the 5 of the application. Now what will happen, one day you forget your password for one of the application. What will happen, all the work you have done in that application is completely lost. Correct. On that time what you will think, you think on that time there should be some mechanism where one password should be workable, one credential is going to be workable for my entire application, whatever the application I'm going to perform or do for my project work. Correct. So on that time this SSO comes in this picture. So SSO comes in this picture, it means that your email address, your employee email ID, okay, your work profile email ID, like Revati at the rate xyz.com. Okay, or not only the XYZ, I can give you some name like Revati at the rate wipro.com. Okay, Revati belongs to the Wipro. Okay, so this employee ID or his ID is belongs to his task only. Okay, so she is able to access any kind of application which belongs to Wipro. She is quite be accessible to all those applications without entering or register himself on those or herself inside those applications. Okay, so whether she is touching like LMS portal, whether she is touching like attendance portal, whether she is going to touch policy folder, policy document, share folder, okay, any kind of like income tax side, HR side, any kind of thing, holiday side, any kind of application she is touching with his email address only, because she belongs to that domain. So domain gives her a privilege to accessible all of those area without entering his password or creating her account on that brand. Okay. Similarly, in our project side, we are working on multiple applications. Okay. So we are not supposed to go ahead and register himself or ourselves all those applications. We are supposed to stick and bound with one credential and the one password. Our one password will work with all of those applications. Okay, so John sign in one application and get access to all his email application, HR based application or cloud storage area. Okay, why it is going to be used? It will reduce your password fatigue and improve your experience. Okay, so you, whether you are touching any kind of application, you are in that application without like login in the particularly or register yourself in that page. Okay, that's why the SSO comes in this picture. Okay, that's a very much important thing. You can see in this thing in Okta in any kind of application so far. Okay, like in live example, what I am giving to you, you registered in the Google account right now. Okay, you are all are having your Google account, your Gmail account you are having. If you are having the Gmail account, you can directly touch with the YouTube. You can directly touch with the Google Calendar. You are directly in touch with the Google Calendar, Photos, Drive, whatever the things which is belongs to the Google. Correct? Either at the time, if you are opening any kind of page in the web page right now, you can open any kind of page. Okay. It will ask you over there in that page, in the login page, there are two buttons are be there. Login with your Gmail account or either register yourself. Okay. If you are having your email address and password, what easy for you, you can directly touch down, log in with Gmail. So what will happen on that time? This page redirect to your Gmail account. This page, any page redirect to the Gmail account, and it will check this person who is accessing my page is having a correct information in the Gmail account or not. He will verify your identity over there. Once you are already been verified by them, it will lend it to you inside that page. So this is how this SSO is going to work. Okay. Now there should become first identity federation or federated identity. We talk about identity so many times. Okay. Now what is federated identity? Federated identity means a system that allows a user credentials from one organization to be used to access resources in another organization. Okay, like there are two organizations are with here. Okay, so the person who wanted to access certain resources from the other organizations, so how could it going to be done? This is the way we call it is a federated identity. Identity is going to be moving ahead from one identical area, one domain to the other domain also, and he is having the accessibility on that side, like a contractor log in into a company portal using their Google account. Okay, contractor is having certain kind of boundaries. Contractor is working on multiple organizations. Okay, so he can enter. We are giving some privilege to him. He is entering with his Google account for an organization also. So that's why we call it a federated identity. He is not belong to the Wipro.com. We are not giving him the at the rate contractor at the rate wipro.com. We are giving him, so we are giving him the permission in a way like he can log in my organization with his Google account also. Okay, so it will help us to cross organization access. Obviously, if we our identity is jumping from one area, one organization to other organization, so it means that we are able to cross skilling that area, cross organization access we are having. We are enabling seamless collaboration between different identities. So I am a contractor. If I am saying an example, I am a contractor. I have a proposal for uh, organizations. Okay, so I can jump to Wipro, I can jump on SAL, I can jump on PwC, I can jump on Deloitte organization. Okay, to give the proposal to them. So my identity is what my identity is playing a role over there. My identity is a federated identity right now. Okay, so I am jumping from one organization to other organization. So this means is the federated identity, not the organizational identity. Now there is a term called IDP. There are two things which is very much important in the identity and access management area. IDP. So what exactly the IDP means? IDP means the identity provider, who is providing the identities, who is managing the identities, who is securing the identities. We call it is a identity provider. A service that verifies user identity and provide authentication token. We call it is a identity provider. Like your Azure AD verification verifies. So Azure AD verifies user credential before granting access to the company app. Okay, like if I am creating, if one of the user which is onboarding in my organizations, okay, some of the users are onboarding my organization, so somewhere I need to put there my all of the user in some place. Okay, so in that place we call it is a identity provider. I am storing their identity in one of the active directories. Okay, either on the cloud side, either on the on-prem side. Okay, so over here, whether any kind of user is came across to my organization, I put his identity on the active directory area to store his identity on the active directory area. Okay, in the future side, if that identity, if that user is accessing any kind of application, okay, so his verification is counterpart with the AD. His verification has been cross-checked by my IDP. So that person who is entering his detail, like revati@wipro.com, she is entering her details over there in one of the application. So in the backend, what is going to be happen? Her credential, username, and password can be cross-checked by the IDP. Okay, once it is to be verified from the IDP, she is able to access those application. So this is the way our identities are secured and kept in a manner in our identity provider. We are call it is as a repository. This is we call it is a repository. As I told you yesterday, AD is one of our repository in the backend side, who is supposed to be managing and authenticating our credentials, whether our credential is we are putting our authentication for any kind of application in the front end side. Okay, so we call it as a IDP. Now the second part, it is to be the SP. SP means service provider. Service provider, what is mean by the service provider? Who is providing the services? Correct. A system or the application that consume authentication services from an identity provider. Authentication services means like the credentials, the username, password, which is given by the identity provider. Okay, who is going to consume it? Service provider. Okay, an employee login in the Salesforce application using their company credentials. So Revati at wipro.com. She is trying to access Salesforce application. Okay, so Salesforce application authenticate herself by checking her credential is a valid credential which is coming from the valid IDP area. Okay, valid identity provider side. Correct. Then this application is able to confirm after checking her authenticity. Okay, on that side the service provider plays a role over here. So in our terms, if our IDP is our AD, who is our service provider? The applications on which I am going to work. like Workday application, Salesforce application, SaaS based application, O365 applications, okay, Office 365 application, Zoom application. So these are all what they are. They are service providers. Okay. How could I log in on that area? After they are consuming or they are validating my identity and checking by my identity provider. So that this comes in this picture like service provider. It will helpful in the delegation of authentication. Very much helpful in the terms of delegation of authentication because they are rely on trust with the IDP for user verification. Okay, if the user is verified from the IDP, then they are able to access me in their portfolio. They are able to access me in their platforms in that application. Okay, so that is we call it is a service provider, a system or application that consume authentication service from an identity provider. Okay, so there are a couple of other things it is to be there in the terminology side. I think we are above the time right now. So rest of the activities, rest of the things I'll demonstrate you tomorrow session. Okay, if it is good enough for you today's. So this PPT I can circulate to you also. So you can also work on that side. You can have a look on that side, whatever it is to be there. Then tomorrow, then after tomorrow, we can jump over our main agenda, Okta. Okay.